Now, I haven't been happy with this topper. It's just been too big and bulky and hasn't suited the rest of the cane. So I'm modifying it quite a bit here. As you can see, I've removed the pine cone. It's sticking out too much. I'm going to narrow this down in this area here. Also, I'm going to get rid of this hump. So I'm going to play with this for a while, and I'll come back and show you what I've done with it. So now I've finished up the work that I was doing on the handle here. I'm finally satisfied with what we've ended up with. As you can see, I've really thinned down the sides here. Before we begin the staining, I'm going to take an old toothbrush and just wipe it off. This is going to clear up all these lingering pieces of dust. And I'm going to be working with Minwax wood finish stains. They're oil-based stains. I'm going to be working with 3 colors: Jacobean, which is very dark, and I'm going to be using that for the handle; Red Oak, which I will be using for the acorns; and Puritan Pine, which I will be using for the body of the cane. So let's go ahead and start our staining. I'm going to be using a combination of brushes and sponge. I'm going to go in with our sponge and do the main part of our handle. That's a beautiful, deep, rich brown that has some wonderful gold tones to it. And basswood soaks up stain so beautifully. Okay, now I'm going to use the brush. When we get closer to our mahogany here, you have a little bit more control with the brush. Actually, you have a lot more control with the brush, so is your tool of choice if you don't want it to run over. Now for blending, we want to take a little bit of our stain and just dab it on the sponge, because we want to use a dry brush technique. It's a little too wet yet. There, that's dry. And just brush that in lightly. Now we're going to use the dark Jacobean stain. I want to try and get into the undercut area as well. Okay, we've got our branches in. Now I'm going to use a little bit of the red oak to come in to do our acorns. Okay, that's looking good. Now I'm going to use our Puritan Pine to come in and do the background. Now it's okay if we go over our pine needles here, because they're going to be painted anyhow. I'm going to do our crow as well, just to seal the wood. If you paint it without sealing it, your paint will just soak right in. And sometimes that's a good thing, but sometimes you don't want that. So, and in this case we don't. So now the cane has been stained, and I've allowed it to dry overnight, and we're ready to get started.